Hey, we're live. Welcome to Sketchbook live stream. I'm Eric Talbot. We have Jonathan Wayshak. We got
Hey.
Eli in the background. And tonight's guest, we have the amazing George Pratt.
Hey,
The legendary George Pratt.
Legendary, amazing.
Legend in my own mind.
Pirate George.
Yeah, Pirate George today.
Yeah. Art. Yeah, welcome back, everybody. The usual, if you've been with us before, we love it when people draw with us. And you can send stuff to us. Eli will get that stuff ready. We can post it later on the show. If you're sketching with us, please send that stuff in. Any questions for George, John or I, or Eli, send those in as well. We love interaction with artists, and we love talking about art. So yeah, so here we are. So welcome, George, to the show. How you doing,
Thank
dude?
you. I'm excited to be here. It should be fun.
Yeah,
Awesome.
Yeah. We're very happy to have you.
I mean, I'm a little more I'm always nervous, but I'm a little more nervous than usual just because George is such a great draftsman. So got my work cut out for me today.
Nice.
You
George is
guys
also-
I think you guys are way over my pay grade because I always use reference, So pulling stuff out of my head is not a thing that, except for layouts and roughs and things like that, I don't do finishes out of my head.
Really?
So I'm
'Cause I think
envious.
you're pretty stylized in your stuff. I mean, I know it's like realistic, I guess you would call it, but is it just like inspiration for what you end up drawing? Reference?
I shoot all my own reference generally, although like a lot of the again, if you hear all this, I live near an airport, so but I shoot my own reference. The war stuff I can shoot, for layouts for comics. I would shoot stuff that's close to it, but I have all the helmets and all. But I do a lot of digging online and old films and movies and stuff for reference to draw from for the First World War and World War II and stuff like that, Civil War, all that kind of stuff. But
and so how much time is dedicated to something like that? Like when you are doing a project, for example, like Enemy Ace, that needs to be really heavily researched. How much time is devoted to like shooting reference, going to library, collecting books, photos of airplanes, things like that?
Yeah, for the airplanes, I built the models, and so
Really?
I could photograph them, light them.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, little Revell kits, and then I had took me like 3 months to build this 1/6 scale Fokker triplane from this Japanese kit that was incredible. I mean, it was a little nail. I mean, it was exact,
Wow.
No skin. I didn't put the skin on it. I used it for details. And and then I'll do all my layouts out of my head, and then I'll get my models together. I can never get models in the room together, so it's like this kind of cobbling together of stuff. So I'll shoot someone, set up. I usually just use a 100-watt bulb. Now I've got one of these LED things, but I would have it on the end of a broom handle, and I could shoot and move it independently, and then I would, get the next model and basically have the reference all together, and I would just match the lighting and shoot them into the scene and that kind of stuff. It was a pain in the butt.
Was this all digital? I mean, how early was this stuff?
No, it was 35 millimeter back then,
shit.
and then the odd Polaroid when I needed something immediately, But I was shooting at that time. I was shooting 35 Ilford XP2 film, which is a black and white film, but it can be processed in 1 hour on a color machine. And that was a lifesaver. So I shot all that. I have like boxes of photographs, Yeah. And
Wow.
Scott Hampton and Mark Chiarello and John Van Fleet. It's like I think they would never pose for me again now. I overshoot like crazy because I'm just looking for I mean, I know what I'm looking for, and when but I shoot and shoot and shoot until I really see it, So
Yeah. And you
yeah,
probably take a whole bunch of stuff, put it down, you kind of pick from it. You probably want more than you need, so you just have
yeah.
extra stuff like.
And I'll cobble different photos together. Like it might be a great hand on one, and then the figure and the folds are cool on it, and kind of Frankenstein it all together. And then I don't project anything or trace anything. I just eyeball it, and I treat reference like it's a live model. That they're gonna step off the stage in any given moment. So I try to draw quickly and go, especially on the Wolverine stuff. I was able to make the shift to digital and shoot digitally, which was like a lifesaver.
Yeah.
And but on the Wolverine stuff, if I had multi-figure stuff, then I would pencil roughly. But if it's a single figure, I would just dip the pen and go on these Canson drawing pads. And I figure, if I mess up or I'm not happy with it, it's like, how much time have I actually lost? Because
Right.
I just went straight, and then I'll just do another one if I have to.
Yeah.
And I did on Wolverine, I did everything as separate panels, just images. And then based on my layouts, I put them together in Photoshop.
No kidding.
So that was liberating.
Yeah, you always do that though, right? Because I think when I was looking through Enemy Ace and even Batman, looked like there were pages where you're doing that too. Or am I wrong on that?
A little bit on Batman near the end, but on Enemy Ace, everything was painted on single, like that's a single page, just
Okay.
old school. Yeah, tape each one off, paint it, tape the next one off, paint it. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and I guess for reference for people, we're talking about right now George's comic book work, which is there's Enemy Ace, Batman, Harvest. Was it called Harvest Breed or Harvest?
Yeah,
Harvest Breed, and then Wolverine, which I can't even pronounce the.
Netsuke.
Yeah.
Netsuke. Scott Hampton called it nutsacky.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Man, how did that affect your time? How many pages could you produce in a week doing that kind of stuff?
Well, with Marvel, it was really interesting because Marvel just left me alone. The only thing they looked at were cover roughs. They just said, do it. So I basically packaged that entire book series. I did all the stuff separately, put it all together in Photoshop and Quark, and did all the lettering in Quark. And then, did my own logos, the whole bit, wrote it, lettered it in Quark, which they wanted me to letter everything in Illustrator. And I was like, why? Because Quark is a page layout program. It's what it does. Right. And they were like, oh, we don't think that's going to work. And I'm like, well, that's what I'm going to do. So it worked out fine. And I just sent them DVDs that went straight to the printer. It was awesome.
Kidding. That's
they
pretty
really,
cool.
And I was surprised because it was total hands off. It was pretty awesome.
That was the Wolverine stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty cool because Wolverine's such a big character for them to let you just go and do your thing. That must have felt good.
Yeah, well, I lucked out because I was in the middle. I had moved out of New York after 18 years. And but before I moved, I was working on Batman. And I bumped into Chris Claremont. He lived in my neighborhood. And he had been made that day, or when I spoke to him, that he had been made the editor of all the editors. And I was like, wow, awesome, And I was like in the middle of the Batman book, and it was a struggle because I was butting heads with the art director, with the editor. And so I just sort of kind of vomited all my angst on Chris. And he was like, why don't you come work for Marvel? And I was like, yeah, but I still got another 2 years on Batman.
Oh, man.
And he said, that's okay. And I said, that was a Friday. And I said, can I do something with Wolverine? And he goes, yeah, absolutely. And I was like, all right. I said, can I come in on Monday? And he goes, okay. I'd been reading a whole ton of Japanese folklore and stuff with these Lafcadio Hearn books and all this stuff, ghost stories. And so I wrote up an idea and went in on Monday and showed it to Chris, and I think I had a drawing of Wolverine, you know, as a samurai, and he was like, "Yeah, let's do it." I'm like,
Wow.
you know, and he said, "We'll leave you totally alone. You can do your thing." And I was like, "That sounds awesome," you know. And so they did get a contract together pretty quickly, and then I moved out of New York and worked on Batman and finished it up, and then I got a phone call from Chris, and he was like, "Oh man, I've just been let go." And I'm like, "Oh my God." And he says,
Oh,
"Not to
shit.
worry. Joe Quesada has your Wolverine. He's going to baby it through. Like, everything's golden." I'm like, "Awesome." So I was able to step in and just go. And Joe had offered me the Wolverine origin, but it hadn't been written yet. Paul Jenkins hadn't written it. And I said, "Man, I would love to do that." And he said, "Well, you got to pick one or the other one because
Yeah.
I had finished Batman, and I had a baby son, and I'm like, man, I have to work, you know. So I just did mine. So anyway,
Yeah. That's pretty cool, man. That's a great story. How was that? How was that freedom? Was the freedom like difficult, or were you pretty self-disciplined to get through all that? Because that kind of freedom could like probably shake some people. Not
well,
having an editor chasing
the
them
idea
down.
for me was, well, it was awesome because I wasn't really beholden to anyone except on the covers, and I'm pretty lazy, so
I think we all are.
but there's the fear factor. You know, you got to make money, and so I was able to get enough pages in to get paid, you know, and keep that going, you know. But the big struggle was getting models for all of it,
Yeah.
you know, and it was Scott Hampton because we were all in the same town. And Scott was like, "Dude, I found the Wolverine," and it was the Asian Wolverine. It was this guy Robin, who was the barista at the coffee shop he went to, and he's like, "He's awesome. He's perfect for it." So I went and hit the guy up, and he's like, "Yeah, I'll do it," you know.
Sure.
And Mariko was this girl I found at Wendy's.
Really?
Yeah, she came into Wendy's covered in paint. And I had my now ex-wife and my son there, and we both looked at each other and went, "Oh my God, Mariko," you know. And I ran out and hit her up and said, "Hey, you know, would you be interested in doing this?" And then the Snow Witch I found at another restaurant, so it worked out pretty good. And then Derwin Talon posed as some of these other, as he and his brother posed as the guys that were attacking Mariko in the snow and stuff. I did a lot of that book, a good chunk of it in the 10-week. I did a 10-week stint at SCAD as a visiting artist, and so I did a lot of panels there on that thing. But yeah, it was really fun. It was enjoyable.
That's great. That's
Yeah,
cool.
and how long did it take? But you just said Batman you were already working 2 years on. Like, how long did it take
Batman
you to
took
do that one?
Enemy Ace took 3 years, even
Okay.
though but realistically, I farted around with that idea and that No Man's Land sketchbook that Kevin published. Those are the two sketchbooks I kept to get into the First World War. And so I was messing around with that idea from like 1984, 85. And then it came out in 1990. But 3 years on the art. The writing went really quickly, but the art took 3 years. And then on Batman, I got it down to 2.5 years. And then Wolverine, I got it down to 2.
Oh man.
Kidding. It's a lot of work, all that painting. I mean, you're not just, that's pretty good.
Just comics in general, you know, it's just, there's so much work. You know,
it really is.
Yeah, it's mind blowing. And when I would go out to get, you know, real work, right, illustration work, the art directors, I would use the books as portfolio stuff, and they were always like, God, you must be a millionaire, because it's so much work. It's just like, yeah, no, that's like a living wage.
You still have to pay me. Oh,
Yeah.
man. Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. How big was that stuff? How big were the pages? Like when you were doing the pages?
For Wolverine?
Yeah.
Or Ace?
Whichever one you didn't assemble in Photoshop, like when you were actually doing the pages.
Yeah, Enemy Ace. The Batman pages were larger. The Enemy Ace
Yeah.
pages were a little bit smaller than regular comic pages. I thought if
really?
I did it
Wait, they
smaller
were?
than 11 by
So you had to
17,
blow
it
it
would
up.
go faster.
No, it never
Yeah.
does.
No, it doesn't work that way.
No, it doesn't work at
I
all.
kind of think that working larger goes quicker, to be honest, at times.
I
the
think
detail
so.
stuff, I don't know. It
Yeah.
depends on what you're doing, but
Yeah. And then Wolverine, they were all, I was using 9 by 12, 11 by 14, and 18 by 24 Canson drawing pads for each
that's
panel.
what you worked on?
Yeah.
I remember you turned me on to the 1850 1264s or whatever. There was one Canson pad that you turned me on to. That
Was it the one that had the balloons on it or whatever?
I forget now, but had like a nice cream paper, and then they stopped making it, and it was like damn it. It was great for nib work and stuff like that. So
I tell my students all the time, I'm like, if there's something you love, buy a ton of it because it's going away.
Yeah. So what was your preferred, hot press, cold press? What's your
for Enemy Ace?
watercolor?
It was hot. It was the plate Bristol, and you had to buy it by the sheet. It was Strathmore Series 500, and it's the only thing that would work for that Burt Silverman technique, where you could work dark to light almost. And I still use it for gallery work and stuff, but yeah. And then I was using that 4001 brilliant black ink from Pelican for certain aspects of that, because it was made up out of 3 or 4 colors, and if you put it down, it was super black, but you put it down, if you wet it, it wasn't waterproof, and if you wet it and let it sit at different time periods and then scrub off, you would get different colors. It was pretty interesting.
Oh, no kidding.
Huh.
Yeah, there's like a indigo blue Higgins ink that I love that does the same thing, that you put enough water into it and you start pulling it out, it leaves a purple behind, so it leaves like a two-tone. That's cool. So, but then and as always, like that, I think that they no longer make that batch, so I don't know.
Yeah, I used to love too this FW Antelope Brown when it had shellac in it. Yeah, and you could layer that stuff and get so rich. And they quit making that. They still make an Antelope Brown, but everything is acrylic now.
Yeah.
What do you do? What do you use for ink now? What's your ink of choice?
Scott Hampton got me onto the FW acrylic black.
Acrylic, yeah.
And it's great. For Wolverine, I was using those green bottles of Sumi ink.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And they're not waterproof, but they don't really. Yeah, but it doesn't bleed horribly, and the color is a nice gray, so it didn't bother me so much.
Yeah.
I do like the Sumi ink too. Just these days I use so much water on my stuff that it's like I'm using the Higgins Black Star matte.
Oh yeah.
Ink, which it's pretty good. What I love about the Higgins, not Higgins, I'm sorry, Dr. Martin Black Star. What I love about it is when you put it down with a nib and you don't have to give it almost any time. You can bring water into that thing as soon as it dries up, and it does not pull the ink back up. You really have to have a lot of ink on the paper, which is pretty rare, and I use so much water that,
Yeah.
Well, and I used to use Higgins Black Magic. But I
changed that formula.
Getting that weird, like you would erase and it would kind of gray out. Drove me nuts.
Yeah.
And then I guess, can we circle back? I guess, can you explain to everybody what the Burt Silverman watercolor technique was?
Yeah, and it's where you use that Strathmore Series 500 Bristol, plate Bristol, and you can't buy it in a pad. You got to buy it by the. I used to buy cases of this stuff to do those pages, and it allows, especially in New York, it was like unbelievable because it's all that steam heat. Everything was bone dry. I'm in Florida, so everything is wet, so
Yeah.
it doesn't work the way it's supposed to here. So I've had to come up with goofy ways to protect the paper, but you could like do watercolor on it and see all this pull out stuff in the background. You could just with a brush pull out all the way to white if you wanted to. It was awesome.
Just dropping water back on the dried watercolor. You bring just straight water on it.
Yeah. And just you could do entire just lift outs. It's awesome. So which is where kind of like Edmund Dulac, and I don't know if you know Arthur Melville, his watercolors. He was back in the 1800s. He was basically, from what I've been able to find out reading through different things, he would like impregnate his paper like arches with Chinese white, like soak it and then let it dry and then soak it, let it dry, soak it. And he could do these incredible pullouts. And he's the guy who went with Brangwyn to Morocco and influenced Brangwyn's work. They were both young, but he was the influence on Brangwyn. But his watercolors are crazy. They're awesome. They're both. He was Scottish.
And
so you could do pullouts, work dark to light, even. Yeah.
But you can't really do it now, right? Because of the paper's different. Because I've tried it unsuccessfully many times with that 500 plate Bristol, and I always end up wearing the paper down. And then I've read all of Bert's books, and they always swears you can get back down to an almost white, but I ruin it every time,
Yeah, you have to be, there's a couple things that I found working that way, is that dark colors, if you're going to do glaze, I do less total glazes than I used to. Like on Enemy Ace, I was like glazing the hell out of a lot of those with watercolor. And you start out with a plate, and the more you work it, you're working towards a kid finish, and then you're actually, you don't want to do a lot of rubbing. So it's just, you can lay water down and then just pat it and it'll come up. But you run the risk of damaging the paper if you do too much rubbing. So, and I've got, if you want, I could really quickly, I'm going to grab. Let me grab some.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, I want to see it. Yeah. John, what do you use? Do you use pans or use tubes?
I use tubes.
You do use tubes?
But I let them dry out in a pan, so I guess it's a pan.
It's kind of like a pan anyway. Yeah.
It's more about quality of paint. If you really want a watercolor, it's about like as far I'm a lousy watercolorist. I mean, you should ask George. He's a good watercolorist. But like you just it's more about the quality of the pigments you buy. You have to spend money, and you got to load up the brush. Like if you think there's too much paint, you should put more on. That's
it's the opposite of what I do. I use so much water in everything I touch.
So like I was taking all this stuff into class last few weeks. So these were all watercolors in progress. So like so it would start off like this, which is just, and if I take a brush,
oh yeah.
Right. And so then here's something that's been pushed a little bit.
Okay.
I haven't put any color into the flesh, but
what's the paper you're using? What are you using for paper on that?
So it's the Strathmore 500, but it's a board.
That is.
But it's
okay.
plate.
Right.
So that's Morocco stuff, and then here's one that's of my daughter in progress.
Man, I love that. Just like that, I love that process stuff right
all
there.
All the drippy.
Yeah. Oh man, that's beautiful. Look how you jump from color to color. Oh man, that's great.
Yeah, different. You know, that just I'll get them started. Like here's another Morocco piece.
I can't believe you have so many boards that they're all just glued, that they're all taped down to.
And I use that Scotch magic tape.
That works,
Okay.
huh?
Yeah.
Makes a perfect seal and doesn't tear your paper. Another Morocco piece.
So these Morocco pieces, are these from memory, or did you paint while you were in Morocco? Because we can get back to that because I want to talk about your Morocco trip. Wow.
Yeah, they. I did some watercolors there, but I just did traditional. And then when I got back, went whole hog on paintings and watercolors and prints and stuff like that.
Right.
That'll be the next book that I try to put out, is a whole thing on the Morocco journey.
Morocco
and I got
trip.
Bill Stout wrote the intro for me to it, which
Oh,
is
nice.
cool.
Classy. Nice. Somebody's asking Scotch better than painter's tape. So you like the Scotch better than the paint. I mean, I use the green painter's tape, but I don't know. It's just kind of
Yeah, my thing about the blue tape or the green tape is that it actually would get in the way of me seeing the color, but this is the magic tape, and it's and the thing is if it does start to pull your paper up, just sort of stop and get your hairdryer out and just heat it up and just and pull away from the art. I learned that the hard way.
Yeah, I tell people that all the time. Get a hairdryer out, warm that stuff up.
Yeah.
Okay,
I didn't know that
cool.
one. Interesting.
The hairdryer?
Yeah, I didn't know about that one at all.
Yeah.
That first page of Ace, where it's the clouds with the inset of the old man asleep.
Yeah.
I did that page like 4 times because every time I pulled the tape, I ripped through. I was like, no.
That's when you start learning quickly.
Yeah. Well, not
slowly.
quick enough. I did it 4
apparently. You guys want to get into draw mode and keep talking?
Yeah,
Sure.
why don't we switch? Yeah, why don't we switch
then,
to the? Oh, go ahead, Derek.
No, I was gonna say, and then I do want to look at more of your sketchbook stuff. So at some point we'll have to remember to get out of draw mode. I want to see more. I want to see your sketchbooks, dude.
Yeah, I've got
really cool seeing all
I tried
that
to grab
stuff.
some stuff from different years, and then these are really fun. These ugly books.
It's an ugly book.
I keep seeing that, and I keep thinking they got like a bunch of crazy colors, right?
Yeah, but I like the tan because you can do, you can put white on it and pencil and pen. It takes everything really well, which is pretty cool.
How's the paper?
It's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got a good weight to it. No bleed through. Although I have it, every once in a while I'll get a little bleed through, and they're cheap,
Yeah.
It's called an ugly
get them
book.
In packs of 3 or 5 or something like that.
Yeah, it's like an ad that pops up if you're on, like, I don't know, some of the social media stuff. I look at a lot of sketchbook stuff, so it tends to pop up a bit for me.
Okay.
The other one is have you seen those? Let me grab one. Hanamule. I don't know how you pronounce it.
But I'm looking for a cheap sketchbook. So yeah.
This is not they're not super cheap, but they're not crazy. But man, like
the printing paper company.
This is Hanamule. It's got their logo. Oh yeah, their logo is
like a rooster.
Rooster.
Yeah.
And
I used to use that for doing all my prints.
Super thick.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to show you
I loaded this one with tons of water and ink. And, well, you can't tell it on it because I got all this stuff on the back of it. But there's no bleed through.
Man,
well, hang on.
Those are amazing.
Yeah, so there's this Morocco thing. And then, no bleed through at all.
Huh. Wow. That's just a standard ugly book, huh?
No. This is a different one.
That's the Hanamule. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Hanamule, and the papers, and they make a sort of a bluish gray also. That's really nice.
That's what stood out to me for some of that. That the ads that I was seeing was all the different tone paper. So.
Yeah. Oh, There it goes.
Yeah.
So I'm going to show this thing off. A client gave me this book, which is, I can't remember the name. Luchetti, I think it is. Luchetti sketchbook. They're like 600 GSM heavy watercolor paper.
Those are great. Look at that.
But they're lay flat, so you can like just draw right through the spine here. And I've kind of been putting it through its paces a little bit, using ink, using watercolor and everything. But you can see this, like, the soak this thing, and the paper, it's holding up incredibly well. So like this one, I'm really, really soaking, and the other side is still perfectly good. They're a little pricey, but I love these books. This is my new like coffee drawing sketchbook I use in the morning. So shout out to Joey for giving me this awesome book.
Yeah, I wish I could do that over coffee. Awesome.
It's kind of like my warm-up thing. Rather than looking at the phone, I just get my coffee and I sketch and doodle. But it's super durable. It's you could beat this thing. I've soaked it. I haven't sprayed it down. Sometimes I use a misting bottle on my paper, and then that will really put the paper to the test. So
wow,
cool.
Damn, I gotta get to work. I don't have any cool sketchbooks right now.
Just cool sketches.
Yeah.
So you want to draw, or what do you want to keep talking? What do you guys want to do?
Yeah, whatever y'all want to do. I've got all my reference.
Yeah.
So there's never a moment when you just kind of do your like you're sitting in a coffee shop and you just draw out of your head or anything like that? No.
Well, I teach a sketchbook class, and we go out all over the place, and we'll go to the big cat habitat. We go to Mayaka, which is this kind of a state park. We go to the Moat Marine aquarium, which is really cool. But and then we just go downtown and just draw buildings and people and whatever.
Where are you teaching? Where is this?
I'm gonna bring this down. Let's see if I get the angle right. Let's see. Let's find something.
Eli, let us know if you have any questions.
And you viewers at home also, if you have any questions in the chat.
Yeah, give us questions. Somebody said this completely reminds me of Kent Williams' work. That's because, George, you guys are close friends and work together quite a bit, right?
Yeah, Kent and I we were in school together, and we basically taught each other how to paint because school wasn't teaching us that stuff.
Yeah. So one of the things I wanted to talk to you about is your time with Jeffrey Catherine Jones. I'm a huge fan of her work. So you spent a lot of time working in learning, right?
Yeah, Jeff was my god, He and Kaluta, all the studio guys, and Kent and I heard that Jeff was going to be at a New York con, and we were in school, and so we went, took some of our stuff to show, and he basically took us under his wing. He was like, "Hey, you guys should come, let's go landscape painting." And we were like, "What?" He was living upstate New York in the Catskills, and so, man, we got up there and getting to, Jeff didn't want to teach, but if you were struggling with something, he would come out with, some, info would just start to fly out of him. It was awesome. So that was a major lifesaver for us back then. And then that also got us, connected to Wrightson. Kaluta was actually the very first artist I called when I got to New York. And he let me come over to his studio, and
That wasn't
And-
the studio, was it?
Huh?
That wasn't the studio that they all shared, correct? Or was
No, God, man, I
No.
wish, you know.
it? Right, that was
Um,
after. Right.
Yeah, I think Bo Hampton got to go to that place.
Oh, no kidding.
Scott and I were always like, "Ugh," yeah. So
Hey George, would you mind unmuting your art cam if it's not too much of a problem, and then I'll take your face cam out.
okay, let's see.
So I'm gonna take your face out so we don't get reverb.
There you go.
Okay.
Is that better? Still
there's
getting
going.
Let me kill mine. Except now, I can't hear. Let me mute my mic on this one. All right, how about that? Still some.
Yeah, it's going to echo.
Yeah, maybe I'll just keep your.
So
Yeah, just go remute
There.
that. Here we go. Yeah, no worries. So yeah, so that must have been pretty amazing to meet your hero and spend time with them like that.
that that's the thing is like I hit up so many artists like I mean even Silverman, like I figure the worst they can do is say no, right? And
Yep.
no one ever said no. They were always like, yeah, come on over. People were just sort of surprised anyone even knew who they were. And, you know what I mean? And so Kaluta knew what that meant that day. It was awesome. I mean, I got there at 8 a.m. and I was there 12 hours.
Jeez.
We were on the floor pulling out Muka books, looking at stuff like just like going fanboy over all this stuff, and he had a guitar, so we played guitar for a while. I mean, it was
Wow.
like he knew what it meant, and it's like he made that one of the most special days. It was awesome.
How old were you at this point?
I was 20.
Wow, dude.
So unbelievable. And he was sharing that apartment with Charles Vess. So I got to meet Charles that day too. It was killer.
That's pretty amazing. It's like going to hang out with a lot of my heroes. I don't know if that must have taken a lot of nerve for you to just kind of get out there and do that and just, be willing to be vulnerable and hang out with them like that. That's pretty cool, man.
It was scary. Scary but cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't have the nerve to do that. That's for sure. I wish I did.
Well, and then we got up there to paint with Jeff, and Kent and I were doing a lot of setting up at different conventions. We would load my car up. I had a liftback, one of these old Datsun 310s, and we did like Boston. We kind of went all over the place doing conventions together, and we had this whole setup. We were so into the studio that we we had this metal backdrop thing, but that was a table also that would open up, and we had sheets and we had peacock feathers and cow skulls, and
This is the studio book. Yeah, I was showing that off at last show. I think I was showing people the studio book, and that book had a pretty big effect on me. It was I always say it's like the Frazetta Ballantine books, and then I find the studio book, and it was just, I don't know, it was pretty amazing, that thing.
Well, that was definitely like my generation. That thing changed our lives. Like Magnola, Kent and I, Sienkiewicz. I mean that thing changed the course of what we wanted to do. We all wanted to be comic book guys, but then here's these guys doing illustrated books and posters and prints, and we were like, oh man, that's what we wanted to do.
Yeah. So when you and Kent were doing the convention stuff, what had you guys done professionally? As like, were you just showing up with these like the
nothing.
old Greenberg shows and shit like that?
Yeah, I got stuff, and I wrote Kent's first story that he did in not Eclipse, Epic. And then I wrote one for the thing he did in Eclipse. And I got stuff in heavy metal because I was trying to get in heavy metal, and I went up there trying to get work. And at that time, Jeff was doing I'm Age, and we had met him and stuff, but I would go and hang out at heavy metal and hang out with John Workman because he was a huge Jones fan too. And so he's like, look, I got the new one in, and he would show me the newest I'm Age. And we would just sit there and like, fanboy out. And so I kept kind of hitting him up, like, got anything I can do? Is there something I can do? So finally he said, you know what? Just do something and I'll print it. And I was like, awesome. So that's how I got into heavy metal. I just started doing these little poetry things and then illustrating them. And he printed them. So I lucked out. Because he kept sort of waiting for maybe something to show up that I would be able to illustrate. And I did one of his June 2050s that he did. That was, there were so many things too that were around that same time. I also got Marshall Rogers was doing a signing at the New York, was it Gotham Comic Art Gallery, New York Comic Art Gallery. And so I went to get my Batman's signed by him. I was a huge Marshall Rogers fan. And he was signing my books. And I said, hey, have you ever thought about having an apprentice? And he said, I have thought about that. He goes, why? Do you want that job? And I was like, yeah. And he goes, okay. He goes, well, here. He goes, bring a portfolio. Show me your portfolio. And he wanted me to come to Continuity and show it to him. So I did. And honestly, I don't know why he let me do that because, I didn't know what the hell I was doing,
Right.
But he looked through it and he goes, yeah, you're hired. I'm like, oh, yeah.
Now I got to do it.
Yeah, now I got to put up or shut up. But he had me coming in late at night because he didn't want me to have to pay Neil rent. And so I would come in at night and we would pull all-nighters, and I was going to school, so I would, and that was all the way uptown outside of Grand Central. And I'm in Brooklyn, at Pratt. And so I would like do this all-nighter and then rush back to school and go to classes. And the first thing he had me work on was the Spirit Jam. He gave me those pages to take back to school. And he goes, I need this background done. I need this panel has these 3 guys who are thugs. You can pencil that in and ink it. And I was just like, oh my God.
Wow. Trial by
Marshall,
fire.
well, man, and Marshall was like, he smoked a lot of weed. And that we would sit there in that little office and he would be smoking, and then his big thing was eating Zwieback crackers. And so we would sit there and chow on these Zwieback crackers and work all night. And then, man, those pages, you could roll those pages up and smoke them. They were so dense with that smoke. It was crazy.
Yeah.
But so I went back and did that stuff, and it was me and Kent. I made me, Kent, and our friend Ed Lee the thugs, and penciled us in and inked them. And crazy. And so otherwise I was doing backgrounds. It's like pencils and inks for backgrounds, and like draw all the stuff Marshall didn't want to draw, basically, So it was like, hey, I need a chain link fence here, and I
Oh,
need
boy.
like
Yeah.
this kind of car, like a Camaro, whatever. And then I would go over and get into Neil Adams' morgue file and pull that reference and then project
That's
it.
pretty cool.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Anybody out there doesn't know what a morgue file is, you should look it up, because pre-computer, everybody had to, you'd have a magazine and you'd see something that you might need and you just tore it out and threw it in a folder, and you just kept all that stuff. So did he ever did you ever turn anything in, and did he ever reject it, or were you pretty? No.
Well, he was getting ready to do Madame Xanadu, I think. And so he had all these books on architecture in his office. And he said, he goes, I want you to take this book. And it was a book of Paris rooftops. And he said, go and, do a page of Paris rooftops and put it all together, and then bring it in and let me scope it out. And so I did. And I was going to impress Marshall, so I figured out all the vanishing points and everything. I had like these strings all over the room. And so I did it up, I inked it and took it in, and he was like, okay. He said, did you figure out all these vanishing points? I was like, yeah. He goes, okay. He goes, that's really cool. He goes, if we lived in a perfect world, like that would be awesome. He goes, but he goes, buildings are like people. They have gestures, they settle, they lean, and it was like the best lesson I ever had in perspective. And he said, I want you to take it and go do another one, but I want you to just eyeball it. Don't try to plan any, just eyeball it and go. I was like, all right.
Yeah.
And man, it was such a change. It was so much better. So that was a great lesson.
Right.
And I don't know if he ever, he didn't use it for anything. I still own that page. And we were putting out our own sort of fanzine, because the school wouldn't do it. They didn't like comics at all. They wanted nothing to do with comics. So we put it out ourselves, and it was Dark Storm. And everybody did like a certain number of pages of their own stories. And, we got Boris. Kent and I were at Forbidden Planet, and we saw Boris there, and we were like, oh my God. And we went up and, I know, we were like, told him we were doing this magazine, and would he contribute to it? And he's like, yeah. He goes like, yeah, I'll do something. I'll give you all a pen and ink or something. And so he did. And we got Charles Vest gave us something, and then Marshall gave us a couple things. It was cool.
You must have been super good people. You guys you got so many amazing people to just step up for you. That's pretty cool, man.
It was
I will say
awesome.
Boris is super nice. I met him, and he was super, super nice.
Yeah. And it's that generation, that whole generation, like Joe Kubert, all those guys. Then another person that lived down the street from me in Brooklyn when I got out of school was Angelo Torres. And he and I used to go, we'd go to Little Italy and get Italian food and have dinner and stuff out there. And he would come just hang out, and he wanted to talk about all the war stuff, but super nice guy. And George Woodbridge's son, Curtis, would hang. That's where I got I had this huge collection of the New York Times pictorials from the First World War. They're massive. They're 4 inches wide. And and it was Curtis said, hey, my dad wants to sell his World War I stuff. Are you interested? I'm like, yeah. And I got all of it for $100. I was like, holy, because that stuff was hard to find.
So so were you always into war? Like as a kid, were you into war movies? What's the war fascination? Where did that all come from?
Yeah, well, growing up in Texas, everyone was kid wise. We were all Audie Murphy junkies, you know, because of the Texas connection stuff. And then all my friends' parents were World War II people, you know. My dad was in the Navy. My best friend's dad, well, one of my best friend's dads was he was a fighter pilot, and there were bomber pilots, and we had all the gear, you know. And so we would all dress up and play guns and all this stuff. And then my dad was trying to understand his war. So there were history books all over the place. And so I would like pick them up, especially I just wanted to see the pictures, you know. But I would try to read through some of those things, like the John Toland Rising Sun book and stuff like that. But again, those photos were incredibly fascinating, you know. And then the war movies were all over the place, you know, all the World War II things, and Hogan's Heroes, and then you had Combat, Rat Patrol, all that stuff, you know. So yeah, it was kind of a fixture in growing up there like that. So kind of.
So it just resonated with you. Hey, I want to. Kazra said he's joined the chat. He said, "How much did Marshall pay you?" He wants to know how much Marshall paid you. Did he pay in weed or?
You don't have to.
I think he
knows
the answer to that one, but it was. I worked. I forget how many weeks on stuff, all nighters, you know, and then finally, I think I asked him about what am I getting paid, you know, and it was like he gave me $75, and I was like, and I was pissed off because I thought I had done way more work than that, but the thing was, I got credit for everything I did, that's the stuff, you know. So
and you got put through the paces, man, to getting that stuff thrown in your lap, and you got to go get it done. I mean, that's how you build who you're going to be as an artist. So, well,
and the thing is, you know, working for Marshall is what cured me of wanting to be a regular comic artist, because I knew I didn't have it in me to do a regular book, you know, that wasn't going to happen, and so that was worth that knowledge too. And he and I used to have these discussions a lot about what comics were, where I was coming from, you know, the Jones, Wrightson studio guys, and to me it was an art form, you know, and to Marshall it was entertainment, and so it was just a different aesthetic involved in the thing. And so, you know, that cured me of wanting to just do the day in, day out comic stuff.
I think that's kind of like what, you know, you look at the studio book and you look at the way those guys approached everything. It's like Barry was doing the Conan stuff. I mean, they were artists. They were aspiring to be fine artists in a lot of ways that were bringing it to comics. And that's kind of, I think it must have been kind of the first that time that, I mean, maybe Steranko was doing different kind of stuff, but you know what I'm saying? It's like that approach was different. I mean, up until that point, you know, like it was just get the work done and move on to the next thing. And it was kind of, you know.
Well, and what I heard too was, you know, the older generation were looking at the studio guys, and they were like, you know, they would kind of get a little cheesed off because they were like, you know, I've got a family. I've got, you know, I've got to pay insurance. I got to put food on the table. I've got to, you know, gas in the car and all this. I can't spend a week on a page, you know? And, but it's like, you know, like I get it. Everybody, you know, like we get it, but they could. You know, and they did,
but also they didn't really continue. Ultimately, they didn't like work production wise, you know, because they couldn't. I mean, you know that just from experience, the way you work. You know, it's like you can't keep a monthly title. You can. It's a different. Maybe it's even a different art form. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, and I think, you know, Kaluta did it with and Wrightson, you know, with Shadow and Swamp Thing. And those books, good Lord, man, you know, that stuff was killing me, you know? So, but I know, and then I always also go back because I was a huge and still am a Russ Heath freak and a Joe Kubert freak, and and apparently I guess Russ was late a lot, but like I get it. Look at the work he did on that stuff,
Right.
But man, it's like that's the thing to me is like the people that do comics, they're like heroes, because it's the amount of work that they do and the quality of the work that they do on a monthly basis is mind blowing,
Yeah.
And so it's like, the few things that I've done, I've done the 3 things and I've done some short stories and things like that and a lot of cover things, but I'm an outsider, and I was lucky. Kent and I both, and Jay, we were lucky because they gave us a lot more credit than we deserved because we got lumped in with Jeff and those guys, guilt by association. And the people in power, the editors and whatever, they didn't really have the vocabulary to discuss the painted stuff. They just were kind of like, wow, yeah, do it. Just do your thing, and they gave us a lot more credit than we really deserved on that stuff, because we didn't know what the hell we were doing, So
I think also there was like that was at a time where the paper quality of comics was changing too, right? I mean,
yeah,
they couldn't print that stuff any other way. They couldn't have done it the old way, because especially like you talk about Muth, like the Moon Shadow stuff. I remember seeing that stuff. That stuff blew me away. I loved what he did there.
Yeah.
But then, you couldn't reproduce that
Scott
stuff.
Hampton on Silver Heels and
Right.
The PC books. Awesome. And, someone who never really gets, it seems to me, the credit he deserves too for painted stuff is Howard Chaykin and his,
Right.
those graphic novels he did. That stuff blew me away when I was in high school and stuff. I was just like, oh my God. So that definitely was also a motivating factor to want to do painted comics. So
like you, Muth, Kent Williams, there's like a whole like the Scott Hampton, Bo Hampton, they're brothers, right?
Yeah, Bo's the older.
All that painted stuff that you guys were doing, was that all from like people like Jeff Jones, and is it from the studio kind of? You being informed by the studio people, like, because you all had like, seemed like you were spending time together and talking about art together and trying different stuff, because you always had some kind of link, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, Ken and I definitely were nonstop working on that stuff, and then we met Jay through Jeff and met Scott Hampton at the New York Con, and he was, because he didn't go to art school, he was self-taught and being around his brother and seeing it happen, and then they both, Scott and Bo, both sort of apprenticed with Will Eisner on Contract with God.
Oh, really? No kidding. I did not know that.
And Scott's got some fun stories about all that stuff, but like, and then it one, but we also were all, you think heavy metal was an influence too. You had Kaza, you had Drew Ye and Mobius and, all that stuff, and then Richard Corbin.
Right.
And my favorite Corbin stuff was his underground stuff. And I was lucky enough to have a cousin who enjoyed, smoking, and so he always gave me his underground comics, which my parents, I think if they knew what he was handing me, their heads would have exploded, but I got all his undergrounds. And man, I flipped. I love Warthog, Wonder Warthog and Fabulous Furry Freak Brothers and all that stuff. Dave Sheridan, Spain Rodriguez, all that stuff, Right. And but if someone had told, but I knew Jeff's stuff through his covers, the paperback covers, and my cousin also was giving me all his National Lampoons. So I was seeing Idol,
Yeah, I wanted to talk about that.
Yeah, so that was like, killing me. And then if anyone had ever said that I would ever know that guy, that would have blown my mind,
Did you ever get to see any of those pages? The Idol stuff?
Yeah, I own one, and I have.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, I have the one with. It's got, and man, the whole thing is like classic shots of Idol, and then I've also got an I'm Age page. That's the one with all the cats. It's killer.
Okay.
And I have.
Do you know what he used on that stuff? Do you know what he was like inking with? Was like it looks like brush, maybe nibs? Was he like?
I'm Age was nibs. It was all dip pen, and then Idol was all brush.
Man, I love Idol.
Yeah, man, and those are big. It's like full sheets of Strathmore. They're
big. No kidding.
Yeah, and and it was interesting because there was one point where Mignola did a Superman cover and got Jeff to ink it, and it was
no kidding.
Yeah, and but the thing is, it was Jeff. He did it with a pen, and Mike was bummed because he was like, "Yeah, but I wanted him to do all the brush stuff." And it's like, well, yeah, you should have asked him that because he was into the pen stuff at that point, And it really is a cool looking cover, but I don't think they've ever published it. I have a Xerox.
I'll have to look for it.
Wasn't the with that stuff was the National Lampoon stuff with the pregnant woman? Didn't Jeff do that to like kind of mess with them, or the editor was asking for something like a sexy woman or something, and then he's like, "No, I'm going to draw a pregnant woman" or something like that. I forget.
Yeah, and Kaluta's talked about it. He's like, "Yeah, here's your beautiful woman, but you can't do anything to her because she's pregnant." And they also wanted it's supposed to be funny, and so he said he would come in and he would laugh a lot. When he handed it to him. And just turned it in.
I did not know that.
Yeah. There's a great story of that I've heard where these guys showed up at a con and they hit Jeff up for, "Hey, can you do us, one of your Jones women?" And Jeff's like, "Yeah, sure," So they take off. He's like, "Yeah, come back in about an hour or whatever." And they come back, and he's got this like incredible pencil Jones female, and they're like, "Well, we each wanted one." And Jeff goes, "Oh," and he took it and tore it into 3 pieces and handed each a piece of it.
Oh, that's excellent!
Awesome.
Oh, I love that. There you go.
Yeah, here you go. Enjoy.
That's great.
So let's talk about Morocco. How'd that come about? And how long did you spend there? I know some of it, but I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about that process, because I'm interested to hear creatively, how it was. Did you have like an intent on what you wanted to do when you were there, or you just, what I'm saying? I want to hear about.
Yeah, it was when I was in art school. I think it was like, it was like probably within the first week in the drawing class or something, where the teacher pulled out those Sargent watercolors, and my head exploded. I was just like, "Oh my God," and it was like right then that I swore I would go to Morocco, and kept saying I was going to do it and then never doing it, And so in 2016, I finally, decided, okay, I'd been teaching since 92. And at this point I had moved out of New York. And then now I was down in Florida teaching at Ringling, and I filled out a thing to take a sabbatical. And they're like, "Well, you may or may not get the sabbatical." And I was like, and I remember telling the VP, I was like, "I really need this sabbatical," I said, "or I'm gonna put on a pink bunny suit and climb a tower and start thinning the herd. He's like, okay, all right. So I got it, and it's basically there's two ways you can do it. One is that you can take a whole year off, but you're only paid for half the year, or you can take a half year paid, miss like a semester. And so that's what I did. And then I did a sale on my website, like, 20 something, 25, I don't remember what % off, Morocco or bust. And
I remember that.
Yeah. And so, man, people really, really went out and bought art and stuff. And so, man, I had like a war chest, and I was getting ready to leave. And then John Foster, who I'd been teaching with, at the Illustration Academy for several years. And I'd been teaching with the Academy almost, by the time we ended it because of COVID, I'd been teaching with them for close to 20 years, And they, and John had been seeing this, living with this girl, his girlfriend, and man, it was brutal. And he was just like, oh my God, he finally got out of the relationship, but it really was rough. And I said, dude, go with me on this trip. You're going on an adventure, man. You got to he's like, yeah, I don't know. And John's like a hermit, man. He's like, yeah, I don't know. And so then so he called me again. He was in Rhode Island, and he said, my mom says I should do this. And then he goes, my therapist says I should do this. And I'm like, you should do this. It's going to be awesome, man. So he's like, all right, I'm in. And yeah, and it's huge for John. That's huge. And so we didn't plan anything, man. It was like we met at Madrid at the airport, and then we got on this other plane into Marrakesh. And John was smart. He packed like a smart human being. I packed like I was going on safari, and I had way too much stuff. I'm dragging around these things. I'm like, oh my! I brought my oil paints. I brought, man, insane. And so we, so we were doing Airbnb stuff, and it was like on the fly. Like, we need a place to stay. So I found I would fire up my phone, turn on the cellular, and we would sign up at a place. And then we got there, and I specifically remember that it was supposed to have 2 beds. And, and we get to this place, it's hotter than hell. There's no AC anywhere, hotter than hell. And we look in this little room, they're showing us, and there's like a bed. We're both, it was like planes, trains, and automobiles, and we said, well, we can switch off. And I said, look, there's supposed to be 2 beds in here. And they said, no. I'm like, yeah. And so they brought in a cot, and we decided we would switch off, every other night someone else would take the cot. And man, it was hilarious because John hated that cot. John really hated that cot. I remember waking up one night, I was in the bed, and I hear all this noise, and John is like, he tore that cot apart, slamming it up against the wall and stuff. It was awesome. Anyway, then we went to from there we went to Essaouira on the coast, and that was incredible. It was cool. The bus was air conditioned. We couldn't believe it. And and the room was really cool. We stayed at the Sahara Hotel, and it was great. And then we got back to Marrakesh. Then we went from there to the Atlas Mountains, and not realizing the guy had set us up with. We got a place to stay, but we didn't realize that part of the deal was we were going to take this hike. And we get there, and it's like we didn't take everything. We left a lot at the hotel at the Riyadh in this big giant lockbox with our own padlock and stuff. And we did we get there, and these 2 guys show up that don't speak English, and they're pointing at our backpacks, and they're like shaking their heads like, no. And we're like, what do you mean no? You know, because they were loaded, man. And they said, no, it's too heavy. That's not going to work. And so they said, give us the bags. We'll take the bags. And then, we'll come back, and we're like, are we getting ripped off? And so they gave us these really cheesy little bags to put our stuff in that we needed. And so we did that, and they took off. One guy took off with our bags, and we're like, oh man, I hope we're not getting ripped off. And then, yeah, we're never going to see our shit again. And then, so anyway, the guy, he does show back up, and we start walking, and we're like, well, where are we going? And they're like,
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah. And it was this 5-hour hike.
Jesus.
Yeah, we had no clue, and 5-hour hike through the Atlas Mountains. And and some of that stuff was like walking over moon rocks, it was just insane. And
were you ready for this? Were you like prepared physically for this thing?
Hell no. So
yeah.
So we're like trekking, and finally I was like, I'm like, look, I'm done. I'm over it. And so John's like, yeah, but I want to go see this thing. I want to go see the tubacal, whatever. I'm like, yeah, knock yourself out. I said, I'm sitting down right here, and I'm going to draw this tree for as long as it takes. And so they took off, and they weren't gone super long. John comes back. We didn't make it. I couldn't take it anymore.
Yeah.
And I got this. I have my Morocco sketchbooks. I'll pull those out. And we had so the guy and the guide was awesome. I mean, really, his name was Hamid, and he was a really cool guy. And he could speak a little English, but we stopped at one point in this sort of glade, this forest kind of thing. And he pulls out stuff like a picnic, and we're like, okay, cool, and then he's putting his stuff out, and all of a sudden we hear all this commotion, and out of the woods comes these guys that are wearing freshly skinned like goat skins and stuff, and over their face with horns and stuff, and it was like, what the? And we're kind of like, holy shit, are we in some kind of weird ritual, But it was Eid, and these guys, they all through this, they butcher all these goats, and this thing that's been going on since Abraham, this festival, and these guys reeked. I mean, these things are fresh and they're just rotting, and
wow.
It was brutal. And so they come up to us, and we just kind of, and then Hamid is like, he starts to tell us what it's all about. And he's like, I have to wear this tomorrow. And we're like, oh man. And so they show up with these skins, and they run around, and they have switches, like sticks. And it's like the revenge of all the goats and stuff, and they run around through town switching like switching all the little boys and stuff. It's crazy. And we're just kind of like, what the
hell did we get into?
Yeah, like what the. So
John's like, I'm never listening to my mom or my therapist.
yeah, remind me to never listen to you again, George.
Yeah.
But we ended up, I mean, it was awesome though. And it was, man, and the weather was cool there, we're in the mountains, and all the homes and stuff are built into the mountain. You know what I mean? It's like what is it? In the Southwest,
what is that?
Starts with an A. Starts with an A. But, yeah. And so, and the one difference that was really cool, that was really interesting, was all through Morocco, the one sound that was sort of a constant was children laughing and playing. It was like, wow, I miss this sound,
Yeah.
You just don't really hear it these days. It's weird. So that was pretty cool. And then John was like, we could be millionaires. I'm like, how's that? He goes, they don't seem to know about the U joint for plumbing. the trap. They don't have traps, and so some of the smell is just like brutal. And he's like, we could be millionaires, man. So there were times where at night we would where we would wet a cloth and wear it on our faces. It was so brutal.
Oh wow!
But it was before I left to go there, I remember so many people were like, why do you want to do this? Those people hate us. They want to kill us. I'm like, no, I don't think so. Really? And so when I got back, I'm like, Israel and other countries have mandatory military duty. We need mandatory get your ass out of America duty and go, and don't go to Europe. Go to these other places, so that you understand that the world is not the way you think it. Not trying to kill us. And everybody was, Did I get dirty looks? Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, I get those here too.
You get those here, yeah, a lot. I'm trying your magic tape here, George. I'm going to give it a shot.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
I just put some down. Let's see how it peels up. So what, did you bring a sketchbook with you? Like you said, you brought a bunch of art supplies, but you kind of had to shed some of that stuff for.
Oh, I didn't. I kept it all. I just dragged it around, but I was really, the thing was that we both saw it as a real art trip, and it will be like, man, we're going to fill up these sketchbooks and we're going to do these paintings and, but the thing was, it was so difficult. Painting was difficult because I remember I set up and we couldn't travel with solvents. So then the trick became, where do I find solvent? And so we were staying in all the old towns, old cities, the walled cities. And so we went outside of the walled city and we found an art store and was able to buy a mineral spirit thing, but one of the most difficult things I found was then you got to have something to put it in. And man, it became this chore to find a jar, but finally did. And so then I went out painting and I had I was painting away in Fez in front of the Casbah, right? And on a promontory looking at the Casbah, and I set up to paint, and these little boys showed up and they had a ringleader, and he comes over and starts messing with my tripod that my box was on, and knocks the whole thing over. And the jar that I had gone on this, the jar quest,
right? Special
explodes.
Jar.
Yeah.
Man.
I was just like, I lost my and these guys, the merchants down below, were yelling at these kids, and they all ran off. I was like, you little assholes, man, and so it was nuts. And so I kind of gave up on painting until I got to the Blue City, which was friggin' that place, man. So cool.
Oh, really?
I mean, it's
so was it just too foreign and they just wanted to see? Were they malicious, or were they just kind of wanted to see what you're doing? It was just too distracting to keep painting the kids.
I mean, people go there to do this, but
right.
but I think that they're also, they've done it a number of times, and they go to places where it's maybe more conducive or whatever. But but we would sit there. It started in Marrakesh, where we were sketching in the what do you call it, Medina, and we were drawing in this alleyway, and these mopeds are flying by, and it's really tight, And I remember John and I looking at each other, and I said, I feel like I'm missing things, we only have so much time. I was going to be there 2 months. John was there for the first 3 weeks. But we both sort of agreed, like, yeah, like I feel like I'm missing things because we're standing still. And so we did so it became a real photographic trip. And we, at night, we would do a lot of sketching while we ate dinner and stuff.
Okay.
And that worked out pretty cool. Everybody that we met was really cool. And and so when we went from there, from Fez, we went to the Blue City. And the cool thing is that everything is so cheap there. It was like 20 of their dollars for every one of ours.
Oh, no kidding.
At that time. And so, man, everything was super cheap, and again, we were still doing our, last minute Airbnb stuff. And the Blue City was friggin' mind blowing. I'm a blue junkie. So that was like being in heaven, because it really is blue,
Yeah.
And yeah, it was just like amazing. And everybody kept calling me Alibaba, and John at first thought they were talking to him, but I had let my hair go and my beard was really full, and they kept going Alibaba, Alibaba. And John's like, I'm not Alibaba, you're Alibaba. really been out of shape about it. And then I found out it's a term of endearment, and like a father kind of figure, I guess. And so so John finally, we get back, and John, I tried to talk him into staying for the whole thing, and he's like, I got to get back. I'm like, all right. And he called me from the airport. He's like, I wish I'd stayed.
Oh, no shit. Yeah.
Yeah. But so then I was solo, and I went into the Medina every day, into the old city. Well, that's where I was staying. It's where we always stayed. So it wasn't, but I went in and started going into all the different stalls, and there was this one stall that was really, like, you could tell it was like curated, the stuff they were selling. It wasn't just throwing spaghetti at a wall and hoping people buy stuff. Like, they had nice stuff. And so I was talking to the guy. He spoke some English, and he was asking, like, what was I doing there, and blah blah blah. And I told him. And he said, and I mentioned how, John had taken off and whatever. And he says, so what will you do now? And I said, I don't know. I said, I want to see the Sahara. And he's like, oh, the Sahara is beautiful. He says, my oldest daughter has never been. And he goes, and he gets this wild look in his eye, and he goes, let's do it. And I'm like, what? He goes, let's do it. Let's go. He goes, I know a driver. He goes, come to my house. Well, my wife will make lunch, and I'll have the driver come, and we can plan the trip. And I was like, yeah, okay, sure. So I go there. He has 4 kids, 2 really young kids, and then 2 older kids. And so the lunch was incredible, at their place. And so then everybody left except Idris is the name of the guy, and the driver. The driver couldn't speak any English at all. And so that's the one thing I really didn't like about Morocco, is everything is a haggle. You know what I mean? You've got to haggle. And I'm just like, oh, just tell me the price.
Right.
So he goes on, and finally the guy, throws out a number. And I said, okay, I took the number and I wrote another number. I said, what about this number? And they were like, okay. He says, okay. I'm like, awesome. And then Idris says, well, he needs half the money up front. And I'm like, man, I hope I'm not getting ripped.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm like, all right, in for a penny, Yeah,
you gotta take a risk.
Yeah, so I paid him, and he gave me his business card, with phone number and everything. And they said, okay, we'll meet outside of the wall on this day, which is like, I think a day or 2 days away. And then we'll head out. It'll be me, him, his daughter, and the driver. And so that day I go out there and no one's there. And I'm like, oh, but so I call the number on the card and he's like, no, we're just pulling up. And so he goes, let's get coffee first. And so, yeah. And so, man, it's like a 13-hour drive to get to the Sahara. And the driver's playing this incredible music. And I'm just like, oh my God, who is this? And so we're talking music. I'm playing them stuff. They're playing me stuff. And it was incredible. And the first night we stopped in the Sahara was at this place called Bivouac Ganawa, which are these it's an ancient tribe of musicians in Morocco, in the Sahara and stuff. And so, and it's funny because Kazra, before I ever knew about Ganawa, he had given me, I think, a disc of some Ganawa music way before I took this trip. But so we get there, and we're sleeping in tents, and they have like they come out. They had all these carpets outside, and then they came out and at night, and there was a fire pit, and they lit the fire pit, and then they come out and they started doing all this music and dancing and wild stuff, and then they fed us, and then you had to go to your tent to crash, and it was like, you hear all these stories about how cold it is. It was freezing, man, at night, and the bed was packed with these heavy, carpets, and then in the morning we had a driver, a guide that Idris had hired, and took us out into the Sahara, and we went to these ruins and things, and then later he took us to a Bedouin encampment, and went into the Bedouin tents, and we had tea. You get tea everywhere you go there. It's sort of like you have to have the tea all the time. And it's super sweet tea, but good, but like, man, all the time. So, and it's like, it's their what do you call it?
Coffee?
Well, no, the coffee's awesome too. I mean, but it's their like an amenity, I'm drawing a blank, but it's a courtesy,
Okay.
Yeah, and it's really cool actually. So, but everywhere you stop, like you get, like when John and I first got into Marrakesh, John goes, look at this guy. I met this guy, Mustafa, and he's gonna take us around. I'm like, okay. And we haven't been to sleep yet, man. We're like fried. And this guy takes us to the where they're doing all the, tanning and stuff, and it just reeks because they use pigeon crab for that, and it just like reeks. And they give you mint sticks and things to put under your nose.
Yeah, to block it out.
It's brutal, man. Yeah, and and then after you finish, they lead you through this thing where all of a sudden now you're in this carpet room, and they're like trying to sell you carpets. And I bought a ton of carpets, man. They're awesome, and I had them shipped. And when we got to the Atlas Mountains, John hadn't bought a thing. And when we came out of that first place too, it was like an apothecary, but it was color. It was all raw color. It was incredible. And so I bought a bunch of color, powdered color minerals and things. So John hadn't bought a thing. And then we get to the Atlas Mountains, and we go into this place. John finally decides he's going to buy like this little, kind of like a throw rug, little thing. He buys this thing and says, ship it, everything I bought got to me. The only thing he bought never showed up. He was like, God, he was so pissed off. And I'm like, well, I got a picture of that guy. We know what he looks like. You know? So
Go back.
yeah, you want to go? We can go there and get it back.
Okay.
But it was wild, man. And so we did the Sahara, the whole thing. Went to this Bedouin camp. Then we went to this other sort of Bedouin type camp where they were making. The guy made us Berber pizza, which was made. It's like made in the ground, and then they put a hot like metal bowl over it and build a fire on top of it. And then once it was cooked, they brought it out and poured tea for us, and we had this pizza, which was really good. All the food was really good that I had there. And if you like, I love olives, so every meal had like massive amounts of olives, and you're just like, oh my God, it was awesome. And so then on the way back, Idris was like, we were there for a few days in the Sahara, and we ended up riding camels out in the middle of nowhere and climbed up the dunes and then watched the sunset, which was pretty cool, and then rode the camels back at night. And then Idris on the way back says, listen, when we get back to Fez, you must move in with us. You must live with us and move out of the place where you are. And I was like, okay, and they gave me their bedroom, which I was like, no. I said, I'll sleep out here on the mat. No. You must have your own space where you can close the door and lock it and have your own space. And I was like, they just wouldn't hear anything else. And so that's what I did. And they found out that it was my birthday, and they hired this traditional Moroccan band to come play at their house in their apartment and let me photograph them and draw them and stuff. Pretty cool.
That's very cool.
Yeah, it was really awesome. And those guys were really cool too. And some of my favorite photos are of them playing and stuff. So I did that. I forget how long I was in Fez. It was a pretty good while. And then I finally was like, man, I got to get out of here. Their younger son was driving me nuts. Their youngest daughter was so cool. She was so like just easy to be around and cool and happy. And then the son was like this little like Dennis the Menace, and he could do anything. But she would get in trouble for all his bullshit, and it really got old. I was like, man, So finally one day he comes into the room and he grabs my toothbrush and starts brushing his teeth. I'm like, that's it. I'm done. I'm out.
You crossed the line.
Yeah, you just went too far. So yeah, that's what I just like. I'm out of here. And so I like got all my shit together, and I told him, I said, look, I gotta go. I'm running behind. I only have so much time. Blah 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 blah. And I got out and went to took a ride and went back to the Blue City. And from there, I stayed there a couple of days, and then from there I went to Tangier. And then from Tangier, that was the most modern place I stayed. The guy I was renting from had lived in America and worked in, I think he was like a banker or something, but turns out his parents owned a farm in Morocco, and he came back because the people that were helping them run it were ripping them off. So he came back to run it. But he had this Airbnb, and it was like really, really modern. It was really cool. So that was interesting to kind of go out on that note, and he was really cool. He was a cool guy. And then I went from there to Barcelona for my last stop. And it was interesting because I got to Barcelona, and there are people that I'm friends with online Facebook and stuff that I've only ever met online, right? They're just, but this guy was like, "Hey, are you in Barcelona?" I'm like, "Yeah," and he goes, "I'm getting on a train," and he came in, and he's an artist, and he took me around to all these different artist studios, and we all went out to dinner and stuff and talked about art and stuff, and then he said, "Oh, you know, these people at the Barcelona Academy want you to come draw with them and stuff." And I was like, "Oh, cool!"
Wow.
So I did that, and it was awesome, you know. And then there was a guy years ago. I had been flown out to in the '90s to Venezuela to do they wanted me to do, it was a comic shop, wanted me to come and give talks and do demos and stuff, and then also to jury an art show. And I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." You know, so they flew me out, and all the art that they were college students, man, everybody was so good, you know. And I was like blown away, because it was like there wasn't anything they did poorly. It was nuts. And I said, "Why, you know, how is everybody here so damn good?" And they're like, "Well, because there's no work, we have to know how to do everything." And so the contest, the winner would get a free trip to New York. And I chose this guy, Herman Mejia. And they were all great, but he was really, 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 really good. And so they were like, "Oh, Herman, you won." And he's like, "Well," and he really couldn't speak English very well. And he said, "Well, I can't do this because it didn't include money for a hotel." And I said, "Yeah, no, don't worry about that. You're staying at my place. And, you know, and I'm going to take you around. I'm going to introduce you to, you know, DC Comics, and we're going to go to Mad Magazine. We're going to do all this stuff." And so he showed up, and there's a really funny story that I won't tell, because I don't know the audience here, but where Scott Hampton would call up out of nowhere and say, "Hey, man," he was in Columbia back then, and he's in Columbia, South Carolina. "I'm coming in, man." You know, like, "Oh, okay." 8 hours later, Scott's pulling up, you know. And so I had primed Herman with a whole bunch of stuff to say to Scott, and you know, coached him through it. It was pretty funny. But anyway, I took I took Herman to Mad Magazine, and Nick Meglin was like all over him and gave him work. Awesome. And then he got work from DC doing some of those urban legend things. So pretty cool. So it was a really worthwhile trip for him. A lot of fun.
That's amazing, man.
That's great.
I think we have an echo. Is there something?
I'm not hearing it on my end.
All right. As long as you're not hearing it.
Test. Is it me?
Not hearing it on my end.
Okay.
Okay.
You sure? So and I had a show when I got back. John came down to visit Foster, and we started cranking on artwork, you know, paintings and stuff for Morocco stuff,
Right.
and cranked out a lot of. I'm still working on different oils and watercolors and things, but I had a big show of it here at the Ringling Gallery that was up for 2 months. And then
Castro is asking how many photos you took again. He said it was an amazing amount, insane
like
number.
50 or 60,000, something like that.
Jesus.
I'm the monkey in a room with a typewriter. You know.
Do you even know what you took photos of at this point?
Oh man, well, I would shoot. You know, I would shoot during the day, and then at night I would actually go over everything. I didn't look at anything while I was shooting. I just like shot, and then at night I would sit down and go over stuff and pick the better shots, and then edit them and play with them on. I had my iPhone. I took my real camera, the Canon 5D Mark II, but I found like man, I just love the iPhone photos.
Right.
They take great photos, and so I really didn't shoot as much as I thought I would with the Canon. I did some, but then I had my iPad and I would do editing on the iPad, and then I brought so many external drives and I backed everything
Yeah, I was
up
going to
9
say you
ways
must
to
have had a
Sunday.
bunch.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, and just filled them up,
So what's the plan? Are you ever going to put a book out of the photos, the art? What's your plan moving forward with the Morocco stuff?
Yeah, I'm gonna do a book of the whole thing. And of course, I'm bugging John. I want John's stuff to be in there. He goes, but that was really your trip. I'm like, no, you were there. You're in it.
Right.
He did some great sketchbook stuff, and his oils too are awesome. They're really good. John, he's like Mignola a little bit like that. He hates everything he does, and it's weird. It's like, man, John,
Because
like
it's really good.
Yeah. And so
I can relate to that.
so I keep bugging him, and he'll do it, but it's like I'll have to go through it all, and I'll have to scan it, and that's fine. But yeah, it's gonna. And I kept a diary and stuff, and I have all the, it's gonna have the complete sketchbooks in it. It'll have a very truncated amount of the photos, but and I put together for the show that I had here. I put together a film discussing everything and talking about why I wanted to go there and show, and that helped me sort of winnow the photos that I would use in the book. My cousin also, one of the reasons I wanted to go to Morocco was my cousin Jake, the guy that gave me all the undergrounds. He was like the wild child, and he was in the military in military intelligence, and still to this day won't tell us what he was up to. But during Vietnam, and he ended up in Germany. And then when he got out of the military, he and a bunch of I forget where these guys were from. They might have been German guys, whatever, but they went on this in a caravan to the Sahara. And they got stopped by a Russian convoy and stuff. All kinds of weird stuff happened to my cousin, and he took amazing photographs. He was on a raft on the Congo because he lost his passport, and so he was on this raft waiting for his friends to go get him a new passport and stuff, or a visa or something. And then they dropped it to him in a Tupperware thing, and just this crazy adventure.
Wow.
Yeah, and so when he showed up, he showed up at our doorstep when I was like 15 years old or something, and would tell me all these stories about Morocco, and I was just fascinated by this stuff, So pretty cool. So he was also a major, reason I wanted to go.
Okay.
Actually, George, we have like 15 minutes left. Do you have one of those Morocco sketchbooks right there that we could look at?
Yeah, let me grab it.
Thank you, John.
Great question, John. This is absolutely mind-blowing. Sorry to bust in here, guys, but
Oh no, it's fantastic, man. I mean,
absolutely mind-blowing.
there's nothing for us to say. We could just have
I
them
know.
tell stories for another 2 hours, man.
Yeah.
So
we're gonna have to do it again. We're gonna have to have you back, dude.
Yeah.
This is great.
It's been fun, man. So this is the first sketchbook. So you can see there's a lot of let me see if I can get that more there. Push this out of the way there. So on the airplane, Madrid airport. There's in Marrakesh. This guy was playing and twirling his hat strands around. I did a drawing of him, which I had torn out and given to him. So that I did a second.
That's cool. What are you using? Like, what's what is all this? Is this like ink and brush? Is it brush pens? What are you using to all this?
Fountain pen,
Right.
pencil, brush pen.
Okay.
And then spit.
Yeah.
crayons, and
So pretty
watercolor.
much whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, that's great.
Yeah, I think I saw on your website you said something about how you switch tools all the time so that you don't quote go on autopilot. Is that right? Or am I
Yeah. I find, I get to this place where all of
Wow.
a sudden it's like I'm not really thinking. I'm just doing, and it's like, so I'm not really aware. Here's the Atlas Mountains. Wow, it looks really bitmappy looking.
Yeah, I don't know. It just went
Sorry.
pixely for
Here's
some
that
reason.
tree when I sat down. Let's see if I bring it up. Does it focus better? A little bit. I sat and worked on that tree for an hour or two. Crayons. Looking down on the village. Foster.
Oh yeah, that's John.
Really?
That was our guide, Hamid. There's those guys. With the
That's
skins.
so. I love that. I love that art style that you use in there with the brush. There we go. I think you have to
Yeah.
slow down a little bit. It will focus.
Oh,
But,
okay, cool.
you know, that stuff's gorgeous.
Yeah.
I'm horrible at this stuff.
Yeah, I don't know, man. That's pretty.
Buildings and
Yeah.
cars and things. I suck. This is in Fez. I sat and did a watercolor. There's the tanning stuff, you know, the dyeing and all that.
Okay.
This was the top of our place we stayed in, Dar Munir,
That's great. I love that.
the Blue City.
So why is
These-
it called the
these-
Blue City? Is it just a lot of blue?
It's blue.
Really? For real?
Yeah. Yeah, I've got here. Let me do this. Let me let's see. Let me go out and let's see. I've got in here. Let's see. I know I do. Morocco
Wow.
photos.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, let me see
Wow.
if I can find.
I just dropped one
This
in,
is-
George. Is this what you remember, man?
Yeah, that's the Blue City. This is
Wow.
the guy that the people I was. That's his middle daughter. That's Idris.
It took you out on the adventure. I think
Yeah,
it's cool that like once you kind of gave over to the not worrying about getting ripped off, that's when real cool shit started happening.
yeah,
happening for you.
and not planning anything. You know, it's like whatever's
Right.
gonna
Yeah.
happen is gonna happen. Let me see if I can.
Not
find
many
the
people
Blue
can
City.
like let go and do that. So that's
here we
pretty
go.
good. You were able to
Well,
embrace that. Wow.
I'm a
Why is it
junkie,
blue?
so-
Why is the city
Oh.
blue?
It goes. Oh, this girl was a Japanese girl traveling alone, and she asked me to draw her. This is after Foster left, and she goes, "Oh, draw me." So I did. And I had her sign it.
That's
That's
cool.
Dude, how heavy was your bag with all these sketching materials, man?
Oh man, it was. I had one of these rolling duffels. It was huge, and then I had a small roller that had my oils in it.
Jesus.
And then a backpack.
So
was an
did you
idiot.
mail stuff back, or did you bring a bunch of sketchbooks, or did you mail stuff back and buy stuff on the road?
No, I had everything I needed. I
Just
loved
dragged
it.
it all.
This
Yeah.
is the youngest daughter did all these
Oh,
drawings.
nice.
That's me.
That's cool.
That's good.
I
these
love
are
the
some of the-
environment. I love
Oh,
the
cool. Yeah, that
environment.
was like outside
Yeah.
the tent where I slept in the bivouac Ganawa.
Man, I really need to keep a sketchbook again. Jesus. See, George always makes me feel like I don't work enough, man. But then he says he's lazy, so I don't understand.
Yeah.
I am lazy.
But you draw so much.
Well, this is all 2016, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then what are the notes? Are they just notes about what you were thinking
Yeah.
at the time? And
Yeah, today's my birthday. Weird being here, not with my kids. Of course, I wouldn't have been with them till Friday or Saturday, but still, you know. And then it just journaling.
Yeah.
Do you feel like the journaling is an important part of the sketchbook process?
For me, yeah. And this is fun. I had a little printer that I could print photos from my phone. And so these are photos I took on the road and printed out, and they have adhesive on the back, and I could stick them in.
That's cool.
And then the second one, let me see, is here. October 14th, 2006. So this is the band that they called in. And so I was drawing them while they played.
That's really cool.
And I took a ton of photos of these guys.
Little symbols.
Yeah.
Percussion. Yeah.
Would these moments be you catching them live in person, or you remaking a photo that you took?
No, these are from life. Yeah.
So cool.
Jim Mahfood's in with us tonight.
Oh, cool.
He said it's been an epic show. He's digging it. I'm digging it too.
Awesome.
How did you feel the trip changed? I'm going to assume the trip changed your work or your approach or something about your work. Am I right on that? Or
yeah, definitely. Like when I started doing the paintings, I was trying. Yeah, this one was fun. I did this. I had bought this. I bought two of them actually. They were these Bedouin locks, handmade Bedouin locks, and they're almost like puzzles. You have 3 keys, and you have to figure out how to open them. And the keys are metal, and so I was using this using the key like a putty knife, and I was drawing with the key dipped in the wet watercolor for this.
Really?
That's cool.
It was fun.
I like how even from page to page, it almost seems like you have a different approach to what you're doing. Like some are just like a quick sketch, some have a little bit of color, and some are full watercolors.
Hasn't caught up.
It froze. Yeah, it froze up a little bit.
There it comes. Maybe. There it is. Well.
Oh.
Okay.
There it is.
So how many total sketchbooks did you keep?
Just the 2.
Just the 2.
And then I did sketchbook stuff when I got up at Frozen. When I got back, I continued, but using my photos to draw.
Right.
And then this is Tangier, and I went to the Egypt. No, not Tangier. This is Barcelona. I went to the Egypt museum and drew mummies.
I was going to say, that's really cool.
I hate that it keeps freezing. Let's see. Next page is fun.
There we go.
Wow.
Oh.
Man.
Go slow. There it is.
Wow.
Hey.
That stuff's amazing.
Dude, you got to publish
Thank
both
you.
of these books, man. You got to do it.
Well, and it's going to have all photos and paintings. This is in Barcelona, and this was my friend Leonardo was also in that juried show. I hadn't seen him in 20 years, and he's like, I live in Barcelona now, so he had a show up. So I went to the show, and this was he does children's books and all kinds of illustrated stuff. Leonardo Rodriguez, and he's on Insta and all. The caricature guy, really good. And this was his author, and the guy would read from the book, and then Leonardo was illustrating live while he would tell the story. It was interesting.
Yeah, I love Barcelona. It's one of my favorite places I've ever been to. I'd love to go back.
Yeah, very
Bring a
cool.
sketchbook.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I love this kind of stuff,
Let me
but
see
I
if
can't do it for some reason.
Yeah,
me
me
see
neither.
if I've
I'm always
got-
just drawing weird shit.
Yeah.
Hey, I want to point out I tried the magic tape and it worked actually really good.
Really?
Oh,
really
cool.
well. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Super
Well, I
clean. The
love
only
that.
issue I had with it is I couldn't figure out, I had to double check where I put it before I brought water over it. It's magic, and you can't see it.
Yeah. These are, let's see, let me find the right one. This is all like that.
More ugly books.
Yeah, they're just fun to work in.
I'm gonna have
And
to
I've
get
got,
that.
let's see, yeah, like brush drawing.
Are they as good as the Fabriano Uno books you used to get?
Those,
The ones with the tone
oh,
paper?
with the colored
the
paper?
green and yeah.
Yeah, I love those. I go back and forth. I get the big square ones.
Yeah.
This is fun. I've been doing a lot of this just to try and get my students to do it, but do boxes.
Why is that? Just
So
composition?
they have to compose. They got to make pictures.
Yeah. That's what Barron taught me. The one time I met him in a park before I knew Barron. He goes, you always make a box first. That's the way you're always composing his picture, even if it's in a sketchbook.
I haven't thought of that.
Exactly.
I'll try that.
Yeah, and it forces, because they'll do floating heads till the cows come home, you know. And I'm like, enough on the heads. Like, start doing figures and
yeah.
Just trying to make them into comic artists. I got to draw in a box.
There's James Martin.
Oh, really? Was that at OAX?
That was in class. He'll come in my class and I'll go to his class and hang out, and we just trash talk each other. I'm looking for, these are kind of fun. Up.
Still freezing up a little bit. Oh, wow.
So it really forces, having to compose in different ways and stuff, which is fun. Oh, this is this drink and draw that Sean Murray puts together, and this guy does these amazing costumes. And so that's a 5-minute sketch.
That's cool.
And you're just like trying to get it done, on the fly. Let's see. We have this new model who's really cool, but it's like she is, here's Sean Murray as his spirit animal.
Oh.
Wow.
This was visiting my son in Asheville. These guys were playing in a club.
Man,
Sorry.
Nice.
Yeah, I want to do Japan for sure. Let me see if I can find. Where is let's see.
I love the method you have there of the loose scribble kind of building up form with scribble shapes and tone. It's pretty cool.
It's fun because it's not specific,
Yeah.
You just build it up and it starts to solidify.
Yeah.
It's
freeing. It must be pretty freeing too.
Yeah.
Just let the shapes build up.
And I love those Poscas,
Yeah, you do. I've never really done art with them. I use them to sign comics, but I've never really messed with them. I know a bunch of people use them.
They run out too fast. It drives me nuts. Yeah, I wish I could find this one sketchbook, but I thought I had it with me. But anyway, and watching movies.
Are those color pencil or are those like charcoal and pastel, like some of the color pieces you've been showing?
It's crayon.
Crayon, really?
Yeah, these guys.
Oh, no kidding.
Those Neo colors.
Huh.
Are those watercolor or watercolor crayons? Or
I get the number 1s, which are not water soluble. The number 2s are.
Okay.
Because down here in Florida, the heat, just your sweat, it starts dripping and stuff. This doesn't melt. Yeah.
Is that more waxy, more like opaque?
Yeah, and man, but the thing is, because whenever you hear crayon, you think Crayola, but man,
Right.
look at it. I'm barely pushing down, and then these are super
No, no
sensitive,
kidding.
super sensitive crayons. They're awesome.
That's pretty cool.
And you can sharpen them if you get one of those Statler Mars. I think it's Statler Mars, or what's the other one? I
Oh,
don't know.
dude, those are real nice.
The triangle thing, you know, that'll pop open.
Yeah.
You can
Yeah,
sharpen
yeah,
these to a point, which is pretty cool.
Hey, Kazura says next sabbatical, Japan. He said, "Let's go, George." While you've still got a good singing voice.
For karaoke. Oh my god!
Mm.
I want to go to Kyoto and do the temples, you know.
Oh man.
Wow. That stuff's really nice.
Dude, I gotta
it's
draw
just-
outside.
Yeah, we did that with Tony. Tony was kind of inspiring us to go outside.
Y'all know what I have my students go to Earth's World on
What's that?
Instagram. Earth's World. Like
What's
Earth.
that?
It's this guy who uses telephoto lenses and shoots at like state fairs and things. Just people. And they're great reference to draw heads from and stuff. And his name is Earth, which is weird.
Huh.
So yeah, I wish I had this one book, but I don't know what happened to it. And I thought I had brought in some of those Fabrianos that you were talking about. Because I've got Morocco stuff in some of those. But
Yeah. I mean, I highly recommend that. I bought one long time ago because you recommended it, and I loved it.
yeah.
But I barely get to work in sketchbooks, so tone paper is a waste on me now. But I thought that was a great sketchbook.
Yeah,
This is,
they're very nice paper, nice tooth to it. I like them.
Yeah.
I when I got one years ago, it had a better blue, it had a better tonal paper, but these days I don't know. I don't like the color anymore.
Mhm.
yeah, they used to make one that had multiple colors in it, and I can't
Yeah,
find
like-
those anymore.
Yeah, the big square one.
Yeah, and I do have one of those here. Let's see.
For the thin paper that it is, it takes ink, it takes washes. It's pretty good paper.
Well, I used
Yeah,
to
yeah.
really like Fabriano watercolor paper, but it's harder. It's
Yeah.
getting harder for me to find out here.
Oh, is it? I've been fine. I got it. Yeah, that stuff's great. Obviously, it wasn't pixely.
Yeah, I'm trying to find something worth looking at. Let's see. There's my daughter. She when she was young, she knew she could draw. She could draw on any of my sketchbooks as long as it was an empty page.
Yeah, I used to do that with my kids too. I'd go back and ink their drawings or go over their drawings sometimes.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, here's on the New York subway.
Yeah. Yeah, the paper changes. That's what I like about those books. You're working
Yeah.
on one tone and then you jump to the next tone.
Yeah, and it's like, and you just kind of get what you get, you know.
Right.
Let's see. Entropy.
So where are you when you're drawing in these books? Is it just all day long? You just grab a book when you're bored and keep drawing, or are you drawing them in trains? Are you like, what's your sketchbook method? Like when you do, because you just have so much stuff going here.
When I lived in New York, I sketched on the train all the time, and it was one of the best training grounds because no one sat there for longer than a minute or two, you know. So I had to get quick, you know, and it sort of taught me how to deal with the big stuff first, and if I had time, I could then go in and noodle a little bit, you know. Let's see.
We'll go back to it later.
Yeah, or if I had time, I could like, oh, this was fun. This was on the train from Brussels to Paris, and I was drawing the landscape as it flew by. So they're half memory drawings, you know,
Right.
which
That's
was
very
fun.
Do you do gesture drawing at all? Like when you're doing figure drawing, like at a workshop or something, do you ever do like 1 minute drawings, 2 minute drawings?
I have my students, we do 5-second drawings.
Oh, Jesus.
And it's like, and I tell them, it's like, look, think cookie cutters, right? Just that outline, and get it down. So it forces them to turn their brain off, so they're not, analyzing or anything. They're just reacting. And so then we do 10 seconds. It's like, okay, now you have twice as much time, but you keep drawing at a 5-second pace. And as I keep adding more time, I tell them, okay, so as I add more time, you get more specific, tell me more about, like, less generalization. Now start telling me more specifically about this particular model, and, and the subtle changes happening on a contour and stuff, jury duty. Let's see.
Are you teaching them in like a direct draw kind of method generally when they do longer poses?
I never want them to construct. I want them to just, there it is, which is the way I was taught. It was like, well, there's the model, draw it.
Yeah.
And so that was no one ever taught us sight size or points and all that. It's like, oh, there you go, draw. It's like, oh. Yeah. So
I like that red paper, actually.
Isn't that fun?
That's cool.
My daughter. There's one of her drawings. She's at Parsons now, studying interior design.
Oh, wow. Nice.
One of my son's drawings. Oh, it froze.
Frozen, yeah. No, that's good. Whistling guy, that's good.
Yeah. Watching movies. That's Black Death.
Oh, no kidding. Yeah, that's actually a good exercise, going from color to color, because then it forces you to change up a little bit.
Yeah, and to like think totally differently, and which is also why I'll switch tools, because what was working for, say, a gel pen, then if I go to something like a Sharpie, a fat Sharpie, that's not going to work anymore. So it has to be, you got to create another language, So
you pretty much intentionally do this, like how it's just, you just feel it's time to switch it up, or do you just like go into the day of sketching with various tools that you're going to play around with,
Yeah, I carry too much crap around. Yeah. And but because every time I don't, I wish I did, so I'm just like, all right, I'm just going to have it on me, and it's there when I need it.
Yeah, I think I saw your kit somewhere. I don't know if it was on Instagram or a website or something, but I was just like, man, that's a lot of stuff you're talking about that you carry around with you.
Did I give you the sketchbook PDF that I put together? Or
okay, yeah, that must be what it is.
Yeah. Models.
So something like that's not Conte crayon, like that black and white. That's
a gel charcoal pen.
Oh, is that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Gel pen. There are a lot of gel pen in these. These are all gel pen.
It's also a good lesson, like when people come to shows and they talk about drawing and how did you get to where you do what you do. I always tell them, it's like grab a sketchbook and make a mess, like what you're doing here. You're not trying to make a perfect drawing every time. You just got to go. And those
get
mistakes are going to teach you. Yeah, the perfect drawings won't teach you anything.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I tell the students. Like, I'd rather you screw up because you're learning something, If you're not, if you're not messing up, or what is it? If you're not screwing up, you're doing it, you're not doing it right.
Right. Speaking of sketches, we have a few users, I guess, submitted, or a few viewers submitted some sketches. Can you put those up,
Cool.
Eli?
All right, here's the first one. It's Jeff Avila.
Hey, Jeff.
Oh, fun.
show. That's cool.
Nice.
That's
Yes.
cool. Just fast, man.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Very cool, man.
All right, here's the next
Yeah.
one. This is John Burkett. He says it's a
I like
My
that
Little
Conan.
Pony Conan crossover.
I like that.
That's
good.
fun.
You know, that's the crossover we need, actually. My Little Pony and Conan.
Yeah.
That's the $1 million idea right there.
Yeah.
I can see it actually happening.
Yeah.
And our third is, of course, mine. I got inspired by
Eli.
Yeah.
Nice.
Cool.
That's
That
all
very
reminds
cool.
me of like a cross between Spain Rodriguez and S. Clay Wilson.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I'm glad
did
you like
consume
Spain.
Beers. Yeah, I love both of those. I did consume beer, so that makes me like S. Clay
Free.
Wilson.
Oh, yeah.
I remember when my cousin gave me my first checkered demon. I was like,
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. I was big into Greg Irons stuff.
Oh man, he's
Those
my
are the
he's my
ink
all-time favorite besides Shelton.
Yeah, me too.
Died way
Like,
too young.
absolutely. His ink work is, I don't know, it was pretty powerful. I would say that.
Yeah, that one on whaling.
Oh, the pirate book, or the
Well, it's
story.
on the. Yeah, it was from. God, what was the Slow Death? It was about the
Oh,
whaling.
yeah.
Oh, so
Yeah.
good, so cool.
Yeah,
Man.
he came out. He definitely died too young.
And he was like instrumental, like huge in the whole flash art. Some of his flash art
yeah.
stuff goes around, right?
Yeah, he was breaking over into tattooing and shaking stuff up there too. So
Yeah,
it would have been interesting to see what he would have done ultimately.
yeah. Him and
Um,
Rick Griffin.
Oh,
Yeah,
Rick's great.
yeah.
Yeah.
Bunch of the California dudes.
Yeah.
We're pretty much over our time limit. So definitely at some point, if you want to come back, we should have you back, because I feel like we just barely got. There's lots of other stuff I would like to talk to you about down the road.
Cool. Yeah. Any time, man. It's been a blast.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just a great show. Remind people that
Oh, cool.
George has his books. They're available. They're great.
Yes.
These are on your website, right? People can still order them.
Yeah.
To get them,
The
right?
first one is gallery stuff, and the second one is sketchbook stuff.
Yeah. Get out there and support art, man.
Yeah.
I do actually want to point out the Baron story thing. There's a GoFundMe. Because Baron had a lot of influence on you two in particular and other people. So seek that out. Help him out, because he's an artist that affected a lot of people that you probably really, really love. And
Yeah.
time to help him out.
You wouldn't have half of us without Baron.
Right.
That's truer than anybody
Yeah.
will know, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, so please seek that out. What else? Anything you want to plug, George? Anything you got coming up that you want to kind of push, or
No.
just,
Looking for a publisher for the Into White book.
cool?
And-
I got one for you. Let's talk when we get off.
Okay.
Do what?
Okay,
Oh, he
yeah.
put the GoFundMe is up there now.
Okay, cool.
Oh, good.
So next month, let's announce our next guest. Next month we have Grizz Grimley coming on, and he is coming on the 27th, I believe. I never know the next show date.
It's a Saturday. We
Yeah,
got a special Saturday
Saturdays.
show
Yeah,
with Gris. But
yeah.
I'm real excited to have Gris on. Gris is really well known, did a lot of like mainstream children's books, nursery rhyme books. He did a lot of he was around in the early days of like the conventions when me and Alex were involved. So it'll be fun to talk to him again.
Cool.
Absolutely.
Man,
All
you know,
right.
when you guys have killed for something like this when we were starting out, be able to hear how it's
Oh.
done, see people do it.
Yeah.
I mean, that would have been a game changer.
Yeah.
Did you ever see those French videos with like, it would be like Drouillet and like John Buscema and Mobius drawing? I don't know exactly what it was, but somebody filmed a bunch of that stuff. They got those guys all together and they would draw on big canvases.
Yeah.
What is it?
Tick Attack, I think, right?
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
It's pretty cool
Yeah,
to
they had
see that
Tardy
stuff
and-
happening. Yeah.
They had Hubert on
One of my
there, I think,
favorites.
once.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yep. Yeah.
Man.
Cool. I guess that's it. So we're gonna cut out here. George, stick around for a minute. Thanks everybody for watching. Thanks Eli. Thanks everybody.
Yeah.
That was
Thank
really
you all.
good.
Yeah. Thanks everybody. Thanks, George. See you next
Thank
time.
you all.
All right.